This is the Drive and Dish podcast.
Oh, me, oh, my! A monster jam!
Talking about NBA news, stats, and fantasy.
Oh,
to start it off, it's Tim Tompkins and Kevin Rayfuse.
oh, he just sucked the gravity right out of the building!
Let's go! Welcome to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Justin Kuzart, and this is the first time I've ever introed this show, and I am here with Tim Tompkins.
Proud of you, buddy.
Thanks. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, this is good.
Kevin is not with us today. He is still in North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, for his friend's wedding.
Off having fun without us, although this is more fun, so it's his loss.
I know that weddings are a ton of fun. Now, you're going to a wedding next week.
Yes, I will not be here next week, so next week it'll be on you and Kevin to get an episode out of there. But
I don't know if we can do that. See, I'm not sure that this show can function without Justin. I'm just not. Like, you do all of the really awesome editing. You're the backbone of the show, and without you...
It's just going to be pudding?
So if the editing doesn't sound good next week, you can blame that on me.
Yeah, or just yell at me for leaving, I guess.
Sure.
That works too. We're actually on iTunes, which is great. You guys can subscribe on iTunes. That way you get all the updates when we put out an episode, because we do like to put out little midweek episodes. I know Kevin did one last week from North Carolina. He threw out a little episode for everyone talking about Game 2 of the Heat and Spurs, which was very good.
That's right. All you got to do is search Drive and Dish and then hit that little subscribe button. Also, if you don't mind giving us a rating, it really helps us out. We climb higher in the iTunes ranking, and so other people can find the show. So you just hit the little 4 or 5 star, no 2 or 3 star crap, but hit the little 4 or 5 star and give us a rating. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, if you want to leave a review as well, that helps always.
Absolutely.
Of course. So in this episode, we are just going to stick to the basics pretty much, or we're just going to talk about the NBA Finals series that's going on, the Spurs and the Heat, duking it out for the trophy.
And can the Heat come back? Can they do it?
We'll see what happens. Obviously, we're probably going to talk a little bit about Kawhi Leonard. I know I personally want to talk about Kawhi Leonard because I've talked a lot about how he's my favorite player, and, now he's got some beef to back it up even more. So that'll be fun.
Been his coming home party.
Yes, exactly. So it'll be interesting. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, you want to get into news?
Yeah.
Win! Puts it up for the win! Yeah, baby!
Now on to NBA news on the Drive and Dish podcast. This week in your news, you got Greg Popovich planning to continue coaching, but Tim Duncan is still undecided. Greg Popovich wants to continue coaching the San Antonio Spurs into next season. Tim Duncan is unexcited on his future, with 1 season left on his contract. Popovich is 65 and believes he still has the energy to coach. Duncan has until June 24th to notify the Spurs about his contract plans. Sticking with the Spurs' old three, Ginobili plans on continuing his NBA career regardless of the result of the finals. He said, "I want to play 1 or 2 more years." Ginobili will turn 37 this July and has been with the Spurs since 2002. Mikhail Prokhorov has been listening to offers for the Brooklyn Nets following the sales of the Los Angeles Clippers for $2 billion. He said, "Just listening so far, Prokhorov has been curious how much his stake in the Nets and Barclays Center might be worth. He owns 80% of the Nets and 45% of the Barclays Center." The New Orleans Pelicans are exploring trades to acquire a first-round pick in this month's NBA draft. The Pelicans traded the 6th pick in the draft and another 2014 pick in last year's Drew Holiday-Nerlens Noel trade. Dell Demps had said the Pelicans would likely put their attention towards free agency. Julius Randle has denied a report that he will undergo surgery on his right foot after the NBA draft. The injury dates back to an injury he suffered in high school. At the time, Randle had a pin inserted into the right foot after he suffered the fracture. Multiple reports indicate that there is some concern that the bone did not heal properly, which would cause the need for surgery. Donald Sterling has hired 4 firms to dig up embarrassing information about the NBA executives and owners. Sterling claims that the firms have dug up dirt on racial discrimination by the NBA officials that were as bad as the comments that Sterling made about African Americans. The NBA maintains it has done nothing wrong and that Sterling is trying to distract from his own failures. And finally, Derek Fisher has been named the head coach of the Knicks. He has no prior experience, but is very close with Phil Jackson. We'll see what happens. That's your news for this week.
So, Justin, the New York Knicks have a new head coach, and he has never coached before.
I know, and like I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago when these rumors had started. I was talking about how I was excited to see the Fisher and Kidd matchup for New York, the young coaches going at it in New York. I think it'll be actually pretty cool. I really do think it'll be fun.
I just wonder what they were thinking when you have this really iconic franchise of what the Knicks are, why not hire a seasoned coach and then put Derek Fisher into like maybe even a lead assistant role, but having Derek Fisher take the reins. I mean, it all, I know we had talked about this a couple months ago, and Kevin had this ridiculous argument that there's no way that Phil Jackson was going to try and implement his triangle offense.
He's gonna probably.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and I thought that was one of the stupidest statements that Kevin has ever made on the show. And he's not here to defend himself, but
so he'll hear this and be pissed.
Yeah, obviously Phil Jackson is going to mold Fisher.
Yes.
And Fisher has been in that triangle offense and everything before. And I believe that I was reading reports that Phil Jackson was actually going to be coaching as far as he was going to be in the practices and everything, but Fisher was going to be the one coaching during the games.
Right.
So in a sense, really they got Phil Jackson with Derek Fisher as the guy up front.
He's kind of the microphone for Phil Jackson. He's just repeating what Phil Jackson wants him to say, which I think is probably what Phil Jackson wants at this point. With a team that didn't do that great, he wants to come in and completely change it around, it seems like. Carmelo potentially out the door, so that could be a whole nother situation they'll have to deal with.
Yeah, and then look at that roster after Carmelo's gone, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, the thing that bothers me most about the Knicks is their point guard position. They literally have no one.
It doesn't bother you that Andre Bargnani is making like $14 million a year? I can't remember if it's 11 or 14, but it's some ridiculous amount of money. Well, I mean, that's just an issue.
Yes, that does suck too. But the point guard is like, in a way, the quarterback of the basketball team.
Oh, I completely agree.
They're the one who brings the ball up. They start everything off, and their point guard position is just so awful. I can't even get started, or I'm just going to get upset. But I do think in a few years they'll be good. Once Fisher gets himself used to the coaching position, Phil Jackson kind of teaches him how to be a puppet a little more. I think they'll be good. And with Jason Kidd, he did well coming in, so I don't see why he couldn't.
A bumpy start, but
yeah.
No. And Derek Fisher's a great locker room guy. Unlike Jason Kidd, Derek Fisher can still play basketball. Mm-hmm. I think that the players have a ton of respect for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Knicks aren't going to be good for a couple of years, so as the Knicks are rebuilding, Derek Fisher will be learning. It's exactly. Not the worst, but I was surprised that they didn't find a more seasoned coach.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But honestly, their division, like, who else is there really too much to worry about? I mean, the Celtics aren't really doing well.
Well, that's debatable. I mean, we'll see what sort of offseason moves that the Celtics make.
Exactly. The same with the Sixers. They're all kind of meh teams at this point, but after the draft, that could all change, and players could have great off seasons and do very well.
The thing about the Sixers is that they are in the Eastern Conference, and out of all of those teams, it seems like even as bad as the Sixers were this year, that they have a fantastic nucleus going forward.
They do, and I actually saw a story talking about how Wiggins pretty much said he does want to come to the Sixers.
If your choices are the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Cavaliers, no one wants to play for the Bucks. That's just dreadfully apparent at this point. Mm-hmm. They're an incompetent organization. The Cavaliers, and that's pretty debatable too. No one really seems to like the locker room environment.
Kevin doesn't seem to. Kevin, our third host here, he went on a pretty big rant about the Cavs. So.
Right. The Sixers, they weren't very good this year, but they have that core going forward and a bunch of really, really good young talent. And if you're Andrew Wiggins, why not go to a team where you can get some minutes, you can be impactful, and frankly, you can play with other people that are pretty much at the same point in their careers as you are.
I agree, and I know the team in general kind of was mindset was for Wiggins, and I think he probably realizes that we want him, and he wants to go somewhere where that he'll be appreciated. He's going to get some great minutes coming.
Now, who's the small forward for the 76ers at the moment?
Jason Richardson.
Richardson isn't bad, but they could probably use an upgrade.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I saw that with their 10th pick of the first round, they are thinking about either getting a shooting guard or a small forward. I don't know what the thinking behind the small forward is, but there
probably depends on what they get with their first
exactly. Pick. And I know, I wish I could. I want to say his name was Strutherland or something like that. I don't know much about him because I'm not big into college basketball. I just kind of was looking at his stats. Seems like a great guy. He's tall for a shooting guard or small forward, but I think he would be a great fit. But they're worried he may not drop to 10. So,
well, what about, I've also been seeing reports that the 76ers are thinking about giving Thaddeus Young to the Cavaliers and their number 3 pick in exchange for the number 1 pick.
I saw that, and I wouldn't do that, because any of those 3 that we get, I would be happy with. Obviously, we would prefer it to be Wiggins, but why give away another pick? You could get 2 people instead of 1. And I understand, we really want Wiggins, but also...
No, they'd still be getting They'd still be getting 1 pick. They'd be giving their number 3 pick.
Okay.
And Thad Young in exchange for the Cavaliers' first round, number 1 pick.
I don't know. It's an interesting way to go about it. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see happen, but we'll see if it actually, gets farther than just rumor, I guess.
Sure.
But it'd be pretty cool to see. I think the Sixers will have a great offseason. I think they'll do great next year. I think it's going to take them a year or 2 to finally click together, though, because they're young.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And of course, the person you got to beat is the Heat. So that's what you got to worry about in that division, pretty much.
Speaking of the Heat,
yeah.
This series right here could have very, very easily been a sweep.
Yes.
Game 2, they won by 2 points, and that was basically off of consecutive free throw misses by Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. But if it wasn't for those 2 points, the Heat would have been swept.
Well, and you got to give LeBron James credit for that. He was on fire from 3-point range. I think he made 6 of 7 from 3-point range for that game, and that really is just when your star player is on point from 3-point range, you can't do much. And there were a bunch of those shots where I think Splitter was guarding him and Kawhi Leonard was guarding him, where he went up, and you can't do much tighter defense. It's just other than a block, they were as tight as you can get, and he's still able to drain it in their face. It's just LeBron James. It's how he does.
Good team, but better offense.
Exactly. So, and of course the Spurs missed. I think it was Tony Parker and Tim Duncan missed the final few free throws there, which could have potentially changed the game. So I think the Heat got one there, but I don't want to speak too soon because, LeBron James could always just try to carry the team out of it, or Wade could have a hot streak again, which in the past game, Wade was awful. He did terrible.
Well, he shot like 1 for 13 or something.
Oh, he was awful. I have a few friends on Twitter that were just ripping Wade apart.
Now, they were getting booed. Did you see that?
Yes, which I actually didn't like.
No. Like, who boos their own team, especially in the playoffs?
Oh, I the Sixers have. But, also, when you're a bad team like that, and it's understandable, this team has won back-to-back championships. And, yes, so they have had a few bad games. You're booing them now? You're over it? Just done? You don't care?
Yeah, what an awful environment. And so I was watching the game on TV, and there were, this last Game 4 on TV, there were 3 minutes left in the game, and it was empty.
Yeah.
The arena was empty, and I was just thinking, this is playoff basketball. For one, your tickets were $1,000. But for two, stay around and watch the game. This is playoff and I brought this up before, but I don't think it's good for the NBA.
No.
When you're watching a game and the arena is half empty.
Well, the other thing was, that happened last year, too, towards the end of the game when Ray Allen hit...
Game 6.
Yes. Which
the most iconic game of all time.
Exactly. And that maybe that's just how the fans are there. I don't want to hate on Miami fans because...
Oh, no, I would completely hate on Miami fans. They are awful, awful fans. See, the Pacers were getting booed, too, this season.
Yes.
In the playoffs. And Pacers have some really bad fans, too. I could never imagine going to a Phoenix Suns game where the Phoenix Suns were losing in the playoffs.
And leaving early?
Leaving early or booing the team.
Yeah.
I mean, part of leaving early I kind of understand to an extent because you want to beat parking, that kind of thing. But don't boo your team.
Yeah. The only person that, if you were to make an argument that somebody deserved to be booed on the Heat, the only person that I would allow you to convince me that he needs to be booed is Mario Chalmers. He has played so bad.
Well, everyone has played really bad. If you look at LeBron's stats in Game 4, LeBron James had 28 points. The other 4 starters also had 28 points.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so he was scoring. LeBron James by himself is scoring as much as everybody else that's starting.
And he's in that game, too, he had 8 rebounds. So he is really tried to put the team on his back.
In that one quarter, he had 19 points, but the Spurs were still up by 20.
But when you let Tony Parker have 19 points, Patty Mills have 14 points, and then, Kawhi Leonard's, for all that Kawhi is, he is doing a great job guarding LeBron.
I don't agree with you.
You don't?
So I have heard this argument I watch a lot of NBA TV. We've kind of discussed this a little bit about how great of a job defensively Kawhi Leonard is doing on LeBron James. But LeBron James is shooting like 60%.
61.3.
I'm not saying he's doing bad, but how can you say Kawhi Leonard's doing a great job on LeBron James when LeBron James is shooting 60%?
Okay, maybe what I meant to say, I didn't mean to say he was doing a good job. He's doing a good job matching LeBron James. How about that? He's
offensively,
defensively, yes, both. And what Kawhi Leonard's doing better than LeBron, which is why I think the Spurs are doing so well, is LeBron James in games 3 and 4 had 10 turnovers. Kawhi Leonard had 2. LeBron had 9 assists. Kawhi only had 5. But Kawhi had 18 rebounds. LeBron only had 13. So what LeBron James is doing better in one department, Kawhi is making up for in another department. In general, Kawhi Leonard shooting 68%. LeBron James 61.3. Both Kawhi has 49 points in those 2 games, and LeBron James has 50. So I feel like he's matching him fairly well.
LeBron James, for the first time in his playoff career, has more turnovers than assists.
Yes. And that's the one thing that's how I think they're doing well is, you have LeBron James, but if you can have a player that matches him, then that takes that whole equation out. Then you don't have to worry about that, and then that's up to the rest of the team to pick up from where they're going. So it's like these two are taking each other out almost, and then Tony Parker and Patty Mills come in with 19 and 14 points and just turn the game off.
The Spurs have just been fantastic.
Yeah.
The Spurs are playing the best basketball that I've ever seen. I was looking at a stat last night where the Spurs have passed the ball well over 100, just passed the ball well over 100 times more than the Heat. The sheer ball movement and unselfishness of the Spurs, where they have a good shot at the rim, but they pass up a good layup for a better dunk.
Yes.
I mean, it is gorgeous.
Oh, it's one of the best. I mean, they're just playing great basketball. For kids growing up who want to learn how to play basketball, they need to watch the Spurs. I know when I was growing up, my dad was always like, okay, watch how the Sixers are playing, watch what they're doing. No, don't watch your home team. You watch the Spurs. You watch how they're doing it. They pass well. They play defense well. They're doing everything great. Tim Duncan's playing great. I think he just passed Akeem for most minutes played in the playoffs.
Yes,
which is a great thing for him, and potentially bringing home another ring, which some people probably still want to argue. But I think at this point, the Spurs are taking the series.
Oh, the series is done. Another thing that might happen in Game 5 is Ray Allen is 3 3-pointers away from having scored the most 3-pointers ever in NBA playoffs. And I think that if he does that and he chooses to retire, that's a great
ending point
accomplishment to go out with.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you get a ring. The next year you set the record for most threes in the playoffs.
And then you retire.
Yeah. Why not? I know you probably wish you could win it one more time.
Sometimes
but so does Tim Duncan. So,
right. Well, everybody's also asking Tim Duncan, like, are you going to retire? And so Tim Duncan has a player option for $10 million next year.
Retiring.
Why would you give that? Even if you can't win, we're talking about $10 million.
No matter how rich and how much money you have, you are not going to give up $10 million for just playing one more year.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. And I think Ginobili and Parker Ginobili only has a year left too, or something like that. So I don't see why he would retire either at this point.
No, regardless.
And, as well as this team is playing, you could make an argument for them repeating. You potentially could make an argument.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
The likelihood of repeats is so slim to none. The Spurs are in the Western Conference.
Yes.
And it's a lot harder of a road. Now, part of the problem that I was thinking earlier in the playoffs with the Miami Heat is that because the Miami Heat's road to the finals was so easy, I feel like they just weren't expecting the Spurs. Whereas, the Spurs had to go through the Rockets. They had to go through the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had more practice playing better teams, and the Heat just coasted right through, and all of a sudden they look dumbfounded.
They hit a brick wall, and they're used to playing in a bouncing house, and now they hit a brick wall, and they're kind of like, whoa, what the? It's one of those things. Both of them got to the same spot, but the Spurs, like you said, had to play way harder, so their game is at a specific level because of that, and the Heat are at a specific level, and you just can't. If that's what you're used to playing against, that's what you're used to playing against. You can't just come out of that.
Now, what do you think about the Heat's pick and roll defense?
They've been switching a lot, I noticed.
And they've been trapping a lot.
Yes.
And I'm surprised that they've been trapping as much as they've been trapping because for one, they're a little bit older and it's harder to trap. For two, the Spurs have such good ball movement that even if they don't get the ball to the roller, that they can get it to another guy in the corner who can then get it to the roller. And it seems like it's not that effective to be trapping on every single pick and roll.
The other problem is the Spurs are so good at passing, and their pass game is so well that when you trap, you're probably going to leave somebody open, and they're going to find
exactly
him.
what's happening.
Yeah, they're going to find him every time.
Especially with Boris Diaw on the floor, because then you basically have 3 point guards on the floor at all times. So if you trap and they can get it to Boris Diaw,
there you go.
It's done. I don't know what the Heat can do at this point.
The other thing, though, give the Spurs credit, starting Boris Diaw was very smart. It opened up a lot of things for them. Opened up a little space, gave Tim Duncan some breathing room down low.
And a better ball handler.
That too.
And another ball handler on the floor.
Yeah.
Tiago Splitter has been really, really great all year. And I feel like this happened last year in the playoffs too, where for some reason the Heat have been able to just completely equalize or neutralize, whatever term you want to use, Tiago Splitter. But that kind of surprises me because Roy Hibbert, the Heat always struggle with big men. But why are they not struggling with Tiago Splitter?
Maybe there's a specific thing in his game that they picked up on and they realized it. And I just thinking about this is bringing it back for a second, this is kind of, I'm going to hate on Birdman for a second. There was, I believe it was in Game 3, where Tony Parker went up for a layup. There was about 18 seconds left in the shot clock. It was a fast break, so I understand why he might have done this. He went up and he blocked the hell out of Tony Parker and sent it into the stands.
I remember that.
Me and my roommate, I was immediately like, oh yeah, what a block. My roommate pointed out to me, he's like, that was dumb. One, that gives the Spurs a chance to reset, who have been having a great time passing the ball around. They have 18 seconds on the shot clock. Why couldn't you just knock that down to LeBron James, who was right there to try to get a turnover play, which I understand in the moment you're going for the block, you're not thinking about that. But right after that, throw it into Tony Parker, he shoots a mid-ranger, and they drop 2 on him.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy, on the analyst for the game, mentioned that. He's like, you should have maybe blocked it not into the stands.
Yes, and that was the first thing. And of course, I understand. I'm not saying everybody's going to realize that, because if I were in a spot, I would have done the same thing. It's a block. You want to make it...
Well, it's a momentum changer, too.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for a really strong block. But yeah, the Spurs scored on the next possession.
Which, I mean,
inbound in
and it didn't even take him. I think it took him 2 seconds in the shot clock to get that shot off, and it was beautiful. The other thing people have been saying about Kawhi Leonard, because now that he had that 29-point game, everybody's kind of interested in him.
I couldn't believe that was a career high for him. That really surprised me.
It surprised me as well. And what they were talking about is his hands. He has huge hands.
They're Rondo hands.
He has his hands, listen to this, 5 inches longer and larger than anyone else in the NBA. 5 inches.
More than Rondo?
Yes, he has the biggest hands in the NBA, according to what I was reading. And that was a few sources that were saying the same thing. His hands are huge, and they showed in an interview with, I forget the girl, but her hands didn't even come to his knuckles.
Right.
His hands are huge, and they were saying that really, really helps him a lot.
Well, it does now. People used to say that the reason why Rondo couldn't shoot is because his hands were so big.
But Kawhi doesn't have that problem.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
So maybe the reason why Rondo can't shoot has nothing to do with the size of his hands.
Maybe not. He just didn't practice enough as a kid. And the other thing, and maybe if you're listening and you're kind of interested in Kawhi Leonard, they did a 20 things you do not know about Kawhi Leonard, which is actually kind of cool because I didn't know these things.
Are you going to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
He's from Riverside, California, went to Martin Luther King High School. He had a very bad childhood. His father was shot to death in Compton in 2008.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Yeah, happy Father's Day. That's kind of sad for him. He's the youngest in a family with 4 older sisters, so again, I'm sorry you had to deal with that growing up.
I bet he knows how to treat women, though, just from having 4 sisters and a mother and not having a father for a large portion of his life.
Yeah, he played for San Diego State until his sophomore year. I know you kind of don't like how basketball players do the one-and-done thing, so that's kind of cool for him. Drafted by the Pacers, the 15th overall, and traded for George Hill. So Pacers probably feel a little stupid right now.
Oh, man, I bet they're hating it. And I know that George Hill was loved by Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Greg Popovich even said that it was very emotional to trade George Hill for him. George Hill at the time was supposed to be the next Tony Parker. That obviously didn't happen.
Yes.
But yeah, Pacers, they must be so upset about that trade still, because now they're locked into George Hill.
And you look at both of them, and Kawhi Leonard, the upside is just starting,
Oh, massive.
For all we know, we just broke the surface with what Kawhi Leonard's going to do. He's, 22 years old, 23? He's got so many years ahead of him.
Yeah, no, he's a great... Kawhi Leonard is a fantastic two-way player. Paul George-esque in the way he plays and what he brings to the table. The problem is that he's on the Spurs.
Yes.
And that deflates your stats. I think that if Kawhi Leonard was on the Phoenix Suns, that he would be huge. If he was on a different team, I think that his numbers would be a lot better.
Well, he also has no Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and I know that because I actually tried to follow him the other day, and I was like, why can't I find him on Twitter?
Wow, no
social media. Kawhi Leonard, get your shit together, and because you'd probably be feeling the love right now on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Any of it, people will be showing the love for real.
He's a private guy.
Apparently very humble, too. Listens to Tim Duncan, very, very receptive to that. Very smart IQ basketball-wise. Studies a lot, apparently. Parties with Lil Wayne a lot, though.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Just stay away from the drugs that Lil Wayne's doing, and you're fine. You know?
I'm sure he does. He's an athlete.
Yeah, here. Okay, so here's... no, people watching can't see, but here's the picture of Kawhi Leonard's hand with the girl's hand.
Oh, my. Look at those fingers. I bet... women he dates.
Okay. I know where you're going with this. He's going to be around for a while. Might as well get to know him. He's been said many times he's the future of the Spurs. He proved that he can do it. We'll see what happens.
Why don't you post that picture onto our Facebook, facebook.com/driveanddish podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put it on there right now. I guess both of us are pretty much chalking this up to the Spurs are going to take it. Do you think the Heat win any more? Take it to a game, what is it, go into game 6? Game 7?
Man, I just don't know. You got to assume that LeBron James is going to be amazing.
He's not going down quietly, for sure.
But we didn't bring this up, but I was watching the press conference yesterday that they were having with, it was a media day in between the Game 4 and Game 5, and LeBron James made a comment to where he's happy. He's won 2 rings already, and that he's happy. But that just seemed like he's content with life. And I understand if I was LeBron James, I'd be pretty content with life.
You got
also,
kids, you got a wife, you got 2 rings,
a whole lot of money. You're doing just fine,
endorsements.
buddy.
He made a ton off that Dre Beats deal, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. But that's at the same time, that's not the kind of thing you want to hear from a mental standpoint of.
The series isn't over.
Well, from your star player. And he also made another comment to where I either win the finals or I get 2 months off. There's no in between. And so he might be looking at this as, yes, I can win us another game, but I can't win us a series. So I might as well just let this, play good, but let the series be over and give my body some rest. It's done.
And come back next year full fire.
Yeah, and try it again.
And you don't want that from your star player for sure.
No, that was not the right attitude to have. I mean, he looked happy, which good, but at the same time, you want your star player to look desperate and no, we must win this, not it's okay if we don't.
My other question about this game is why and where the hell is Norris Cole? I mean,
Norris
Mario
Cole has
Chalmers,
been better than Chalmers.
That's what I mean, is why has he not been in as much? Because there was a point in this series where I forgot who their second backup point guard was because they never played him, really. I was like, the guy with the flat top haircut, where is he? And
right.
I thought he got traded. I was trying to figure it out, and I'm like, okay, he's still on the team, and why isn't he playing more minutes?
So in the second half of Game 4, they started Ray Allen. They didn't start a point guard. There was one point in which the Heat were going so small that Dwayne Wade was guarding Boris Diaw. And
I actually remember that.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I do know that Eric Spoelstra at that point is just trying to find something that works,
new, yeah.
But that just seems like a bad idea.
And it looked like Wade was having some trouble with that.
Yes.
For sure. Because, Wade is not himself.
Well, no, and he's just the size differential
Yeah.
in it. I realize that you guys have made it on your small ball, but at a certain point,
you got to at least contest size-wise.
At least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. You got to assume next game, not making too much of a prediction, but I think Tim Duncan's probably going to be in the high teens, if not 20 points.
Oh, the Spurs want to put this away. They want to win at home. They do not want to. They had the experience last year of letting it slip away. They want to finish off the Heat, and I do think that they will do it. Now the Heat might start Udonis Haslem. I know Ray Allen started in the second half of Game 4. I would definitely suspect a lineup change for the Heat, though.
It'll be interesting to see. Mm-hmm. I don't see the Heat winning it, sadly, for Heat fans.
I'm not sad about this. I've been waiting for the Heat to lose for years.
Yeah, I'm a Sixers fan, so I don't really like it when the Heat do well at all because same division thing.
Right.
So I'm kind of happy when there isn't that going on.
Yeah, on a future episode, we should definitely talk about what changes the Heat will make and will not make. And
speaking of, actually, I did have one thing. I was looking at. They're thinking about adding this one talent that they have. His name's James Ennis. Mm-hmm. He's a forward. They kind of had him play over in Europe League and I believe in Puerto Rico. Doing very well though. So they're thinking they might bring him in. He's 6'7", average 21.2 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, shooting 46.6% from the field in the Australian League, and then 16.6 and 8.3 rebounds per game.
And he's a younger guy too.
In Puerto Rico, yes, he's there. They drafted him a little bit ago. And
he was a number 50 pick or something, wasn't he?
Yes, number 50.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is, so there's all these reports that the Heat want to infuse some young talent, and their best option is their number 50 pick from like 2 years ago. I mean, how bleak is the Heat's future at this point when you have no young talent?
Right.
Mario Chalmers is up on a contract. I mean, Norris Cole's probably your youngest player. All your players are getting older. Shane Battier is going to retire. Ray Allen's probably going to retire. Udonis Haslem isn't nearly as effective as he used to be. Rashard Lewis is older. Dwayne Wade is older. Chris Bosh is not nearly as good in the post. He does have his three-point game. LeBron James is getting older.
They were talking about trying to bring in Carmelo.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't like that move for the Heat. I think Carmelo...
For the Heat or for yourself?
For both. My thing is, Carmelo will come in, and he'll do great, and maybe they do win one more ring. But that's not going to fix the future. That's an immediate fix. They need to start being like Greg Popovich, where he's kind of, they have Kawhi Leonard, who's their future. They already have the next person. They're already ready for Tim Duncan and them to retire, and they're not forcing them out the door. They want to stay, they can stay.
The Heat are not preparing for the future. The Heat are saying we're going to win as much as we can right now. And I would guess in 3 or 4 years that the Heat are going to be bottom feeders.
And then, after that, it's like, what do you got? You got nothing. And that's what I'm saying is Carmelo will be a good fix for maybe a year, maybe 2. I'll give Carmelo some credit. He's going to be great on the team, but that's not going to be a consistent fix.
Sure, and the likelihood of that happening, all of the Heat players need to take salary reductions.
I know Bosh said he would, but when it comes down to it, are you really going to do that? We'll find out.
Right. I would assume that the league would actually have this is when the league came up with the latest CBA, this is not what they envisioned was all of the stars going to one. But I was actually thinking about the... Everybody is already the Heat on NBA 2K14.
I hate it.
If you add Carmelo Anthony to that, nobody will be any other team.
Can I just say something? When I'm playing NBA 2K15, 14, 13, whatever it is, when you pick the Heat, I do not play you.
I do the same thing.
Because I'm not trying to do that.
Exit out.
And for a while, it was the same thing with the Thunder. I didn't like playing you when you were the Thunder because I feel like that's a cop-out.
It absolutely is.
That is people playing the game and only using LeBron James or Kevin Durant, nobody else. Mm-hmm. And they'll drop, 80, 82 points with one player, and then,
It's not even fun.
No, it's not fun. Although, I guess for people who aren't as into basketball as us, I guess it is fun for them. But that pisses me off when my friend would play as Darren Williams on the net. You
brought this up on a different episode.
And drop 75, 80 points. Uh-huh. And, after a while, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to take my center and I'm just going to follow your point guard around and I'm going to block any shot you go up with, which, at that point, there's a whole other frustration factor to it. But I don't like it when they do that.
Now, you saw that the trailer for 2K15 is out, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you can pre-order, which I don't understand the concept of pre-ordering video games. But
well, I guess it locks in the fact that you'll have it. I know for some games they sell out at some places. But
I have always been able to go to the store and just pick up 2K the day it came out.
Can I say something? And this isn't even for 2K. This is for any game because, for Call of Duty, okay? People line up to get the game at an EB Games or a GameStop or whatever you get your games from. People line up and they stand in line. they do know they can go to Walmart and get the game and not have to stand in line, right? Because that's what I've done. Every time as I see that line, I go past it, I go into Walmart, and I buy the game that they're waiting for. I walk out and I go home.
Right. Yeah. You can always get it at Walmart.
Walmart, it's the same price. It's not worse. It's not like...
No, the game's going to be $60. Every new game is like $60. It is what it is.
I know, and I know that's a little off track there, but that was my little rant thing that has been bothering me.
Man, I don't care. We can talk about whatever we want on this podcast.
Exactly.
Anybody listening this long just must really enjoy the sound of our voice because there's no other reason. Do you want to get into notes?
Yes, I do have some notes here. We already talked about Tim Duncan. He has until June 24th to decide on his $10.3 million option for 2014-2015 season. Most likely going to say because nobody's going to say no to millions of dollars.
Yep, he's probably taking it. And regardless of whether or not they win, I think he should do it. And plus, I just want to see Timmy in the league for another year. I know that Greg Popovich mentioned, although he argued this point in his press conference, that he might retire when Tim Duncan's out. And I love watching Greg Popovich press conferences.
Greg Popovich, I'm surprised there's not as many memes as there probably could be with that, like straight up just... I think it was when Tim Duncan got the technical foul, which, by the way, Tim Duncan got a technical?
I saw that, yeah.
Which I don't think he deserved it, but the face that he gave was priceless.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It just stared him down. And I wish I had the stats. My friend was telling me about this, that people were trying to talk about how the NBA is rigged. And whatever your views, whatever. But this one guy called into this radio station that my friend was listening to, and they were talking about it, and he said with this specific ref, the ref that was reffing in Game 3, that was the first game the Heat have ever lost when he was reffing. That is the very first game that they've ever lost.
Yeah, there are statistics like that for a bunch of different refs, and there will be times when it will be thrown out when the Phoenix Suns are, these refs are on the floor, and they haven't, they have won this many times or lost this many times. I mean, that kind of just is what it is. I don't think. I think with a game like that, it's very, very hard to fake. Wouldn't you agree with basketball? What do you mean by that?
If you
like
go
to
in,
fix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's harder to fix that than it is to fix.
You can fix a close game a little bit. You can swing some calls. You can swing some momentum.
But you can't 100% guarantee what's going to happen. I mean, wrestling, it's fake. That's a very specific way of doing it, and that's very easy to fake. That's all acting. With basketball, you literally have to have the skill to shoot the basketball into the hoop, and you can't be, okay, we're going to let the Heat and Spurs go down to a buzzer beater, and LeBron James is going to win it, because what if that doesn't go in? You can't guarantee it with basketball. This is my main argument with people saying it's fake.
Now, you can get people into foul trouble, like Blake Griffin got into foul trouble earlier in the playoffs, and that, I think it was Game 2 or something. Where he got taken out, and there's little things you can do like that. But
you can try to sway a game, but you can't.
I would assume that refs, for the most part, they make good money. They're very serious about their job. Sometimes they miss calls, sometimes they're blown calls. But that stuff, we as fans have the luxury of slow motion replays, whereas refs have to call that in real time.
I used to ref when I was younger.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it sucked.
You should get back into it.
No, never. I hated the amount of... If I made a call... It was like every single time I was being yelled at. I hated it. So I got a lot of respect for the refs because I was coaching like little basketball leagues, and
it's one of the most dangerous professions of all time is reffing.
Terrible.
I actually saw a special on it, and a lot of the time the security that's on the floor is actually there for the refs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Well, because they can get taken out pretty easily. There's some pissed off basketball players and fans.
Yeah, if you ever actually feel like getting on YouTube and just looking up referee fights, there's a ton of instances of refs getting pummeled by fans and that kind of thing.
Maybe I'll post that to our Facebook as well.
Yeah, Facebook.com/driveanddish.
Yeah, check it out if you want to see that. Next in our notes, Tyler Dorsey decommits from Arizona. He wanted to be a point guard, but some people are thinking he's better as a shooting guard. He was ranked number 12 in the incoming class of 2015, so I guess he's going to go try to figure his own thing out.
From Arizona, huh? U of A.
Yeah, figure you would like that a little bit. Donald Sterling is confident in claims that he has some dirt on the NBA.
I don't want to talk about this.
So, yeah, we'll go past that. Howard and Harden are preparing to try to get Carmelo to come to the Rockets. So we'll see how that goes. I think if Love does go to the Bulls or if Love goes to the Warriors, if Love doesn't go to the Rockets, they should try to get Carmelo because that's a good addition to the team. They obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you have these free agents right now that everybody's trying to get. Everybody's trying to get Love. Everybody's obviously going towards Carmelo Anthony. I think that the offseason, no moves are going to happen by any team until those two free agent signings are dealt with.
It's going to be very. Do you think it's going to be a long offseason for those two, or do you think it'll be a kind of a quick boom, boom, all right, they're at their spot now?
Oh, I bet you that they will take a couple of months to get courted. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Out. You might as well.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. On the other side of Carmelo leaving, the Knicks are meeting with him to try to convince him to stay. I think he's out the door.
No reason to stay, especially them hiring a new coach.
It's a whole lot of work.
If you're Carmelo Anthony, get out of there. Go somewhere where basically Carmelo Anthony has 2 or 3 years, 4 years tops to win, and go somewhere where you have an opportunity to do so.
Mm-hmm. People were talking with Manu Ginobili, asking him if he's going to retire. His response was, "It's not relevant right now," so I don't think he's going anywhere either. No,
I mean, if you're Manu Ginobili, he's still playing really good basketball. His playoffs this year have been so much better than last year. Again, you have that option for, $10 million. Why not pick it up?
Exactly. And that looks like all we have for notes this week. It was a pretty slow week. So
yeah, slow week as far as other basketball news. Well, We just want to thank everybody for listening. Kevin will be back next week. Justin will be gone, unfortunately. So eventually we'll get a long string of us all actually being in the studio at the same time. But thankfully there's 3 of us, so we can still make this podcast happen. Next week, NBA is going to be over for the season. We're going to have some fun stuff that we're getting into, though. We're going to cover Summer League very closely. We're going to be doing some interviews with different sports writers and everything. But thank you so much for listening. If you haven't had a chance yet, please go on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast. That is, just search Drive and Dish Podcast. If you haven't found us on Twitter yet, you can always hashtag DADPod. That's Dad Pod. You can find myself at Tim from Tucson. That is like Tucson, Arizona. You can find Justin at Radio Justin 904. Again, that is Radio Justin 904. If Kevin was here, you could find Kevin at Refuse to Lose. We are on the Facebook.com/Drive and Dish Podcast. And I think that is it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see you next week. Well, I won't see you next week, or they won't hear me next week. But you guys got it next week, and then after that, we'll be all together again.
Yeah, maybe we can find a way to get you to record the news or something and then send the file. That way, at least your voice is on there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get something going.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate you.
Yep. See you next week. Well, I won't, but,
Toodaloo.
That's all. That's all.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes by searching Drive and Dish. On Twitter, use the hashtag DADPod. You can find Kevin at Refuse to Lose, Justin at Jay Kuzart, and Tim at Tim from Tucson. We would like to thank Cox Media Group for allowing us to use their studio here in Jacksonville. We are in no way affiliated with the NBA, and any sound clips you heard on today's episode are copyright of their respective copyright owners. Go get them. We'll talk to you later. Until next time, toodaloo.